welcome back guys to Cluster Zero. Today we're going to be talking about skills that we use in science inquiry. And last week we were at Wolseley School and we participated in a few classrooms, early years specifically. And we had learning centers provided for the children, instructed by us. And that's what we're going to be reflecting on today.
Alrighty, so in my learning center, I had grade 4s and I was focusing on cluster 1, which is habitats, and my SLO was predict based on their investigations how the removal of a plant or animal population may affect the rest of the community. The skill I chose for this was prediction, because it's in the SLO, but I also touched on classification as the students learned about dependency cycles and how different elements within the habitat are dependent on one another to sustain themselves and survive. So they took the yarn and they wrapped it around all the different elements that were connected. We had different colors of yarn to represent different cycles. And what they found was that there was some elements that were connected to a lot of different cycles. So that would be like a hub. The one girl used the word hub. It was like the hub of the habitat. So then what we did is when we removed a certain element or a plant or an animal from the habitat, then we made predictions on how it would affect all the other things in the habitats. And the first few is a slow start, and then they started to realize that when we took something off, all the elements that were connected to that by a piece of yarn were affected as well, and they started to classify them into groups and just make connections that way. And as we went on, they started to get deeper in their reasoning and their predictions and inference and all those things. So I think it really did satisfy the skill as well as the SLO. They drew from prior knowledge and started to make connections to other outcomes within the cluster. So overall, I was pretty satisfied by how my skill went.
That's a really visual way to do it, which I think would make it so much clearer for the students that they can actually see oh, it's not going to be connected to this anymore. You laid it all out for them, kind of.
Yeah, they were able to make connections that way. And I think if I were to do it again, within a classroom with myself in the future, I would probably do it on a smartboard, just because making that board took me 2 days, but have a smartboard interaction thing. But I think hands-on visuals are really good, and it's easier for them to draw connections that way.
But which is nice that if you do work in a classroom that don't have those types of equipment, like smartboard, that you'll have that board on hand now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I felt like your activity was super engaging, having the kids use their hands and just really interact with you and your lesson.
Yeah.
So I was in a grade 2 classroom. Our SLO was use the senses to sort and classify objects. And my skill was prediction, and we were supposed to focus on sound. So what I had the kids do was to get them really thinking about prediction and how to use that. I had 2 rain sticks. They were different sizes and shapes, and so I had the kids predict what rain stick would make a sound for longer. And so they made the prediction with that, and we checked if they were right. And then I told them that we'd be doing it for a number of different things. We had clear shaker boxes, and they could see what was inside, and they had to predict if the sound would be loud or if it would be a quiet sound, depending on what was inside the box. So we did that, and then we checked our predictions, and then to sort of finish it off so they could make their own predictions and test it out themselves, we made maracas. So I had an assortment of objects on the table, and they had to make one quiet and one loud maraca, and so they were able to predict which objects would make the desired sound, and they put them in their maracas, and then at the end we tested them all out to see if our predictions were right or wrong, and they were all pretty clear on it and good, and they ended up doing really well with their maracas. They turned out super awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. You're building up to it. You're starting with prediction. You're going through the steps, and then at the end they get to make fun of product with their own, right? And they get to apply the skills that they've learned to further it into
I really wanted to go through the steps. So they watch the prediction happen, they become a part of the prediction, and then they do the prediction all on their own when they make their own maracas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good independence and scaffold in there.
It almost seems like at the very end they get to see and feel and be a part of the fact that they were right about what they were thinking initially.
Yeah, very cool activity.
So So for my learning center, I had grade 2 students, and we did cluster 2, which is the senses, but we focused on sound specifically. So the SOL that I chose to target was user sense to sort and classify objects, and the skill that was needed for this was communication. So for my learning activity, it was more so like reading novels to the students that are about hearing and that uses words to demonstrate sound. And then for the activating, I would ask students like really specific questions like how do we hear, why is it important, and then the students were able to respond to these questions, and that's how I knew that they could communicate what they know in terms of knowledge. Yeah. So in terms of kind of really able to observe that they did understand and were able to communicate verbally, they also communicated non-verbally by finishing a worksheet where they were able to sort out objects that make sound and then sort out objects that don't make sound.
Awesome. I think that that's really good that you didn't just do it in one way, that you let them do it like verbally and non-verbally. I think that that's important to like include both of those aspects.
Right, yeah, in case there was a classroom with either or, like differentiation or whatnot.
I really like that you use storybooks first, so you're pulling from a different media, like you're focusing on the books, and like kids love getting read to for books and read a lot of them stuff, so that was like one way to present the information rather than just talking. You know, when it comes from a book, it almost means more to the kids, right? So the book and then taking from the book on to applying it, so I think that was a great method to go for.
Thanks. And what I've also forgot to mention was they actually had a chance to brainstorm their ideas in regards to hearing. So whatever ideas or ways to demonstrate sound, I was able to throw their ideas up on like a whiteboard.
Oh, that's
cool.
nice. That's really good.
No word splash. It's very, very good.
Thanks, guys.